By virtue of the authority conferred on me as Vice-Chancellor, I now constitute this Assembly a congregation of the University of Cape Town.
Please remain standing while we sing the national anthem. Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to invite Keenan Hendrickse, the SRC Vice President External, to read the university dedication.
At this time of celebration, we, the members of the University of Cape Town, reaffirm our mission to nurture rational and creative thought and free inquiry, to strive for excellence in teaching and research, to educate for life, and to address the challenges of our society. We undertake to advance these ideals in a spirit of freedom and responsibility, and through consultation and debate. We celebrate our founders, benefactors, and predecessors, those who have built the fabric and nourished the values of UCT. To those of you who will graduate today, we wish courage, wisdom, and purpose. To those who will leave the university to learn and work elsewhere, may you be sustained by those values which unite us here today and advance them in the world beyond. A love of truth and of learning, and of this our university.
Please be seated. I'd like to thank all of the musicians that have participated here this afternoon. For Guardians and the National Anthem, singers from the UCT Opera School, who were accompanied by Mark Spence on the organ. To Bongiwe Nakani for her performance, her wonderful performance of Climb Every Mountain. And she was accompanied on the piano by Collier Lee Enderstein. Bongiwe had the honor of performing this song at the opening of the World Health Organization meeting in New York last year. Congratulations. At this point in the proceedings, it is customary for us to welcome everybody here today. In the first instance, we need to welcome, of course, the graduates, but also their family and friends who have joined them here for this momentous occasion of pride and achievement. For most people, it only happens once in a lifetime, but for some who are sitting here with their red gowns, it's probably the third time that they are here. And in being a once-in-a-lifetime experience, it is an occasion, I think, that needs to be embraced with joy, and as I said, also with pride. I'm sure if you look back on your time here at the university, you will think of the hard times, the times when you had to prepare for exams, when you sat up through the night to complete assignments, when you thought that you might not pass. But you will always also remember, of course, the very happy times when you did pass. And the happy times that led to you making friends and probably also forming long-term relationships, as we all do when we go to university. So obviously, while it's an educational experience for you to have been here, it has also been socially very significant. I hope that for all of you, collectively, this joyous moment that has arrived will also be an important threshold that will take you into the future, but that future will always be tempered by meaningful memories of your time here at UCT. Okay, I'm going to introduce the guest speaker today and to welcome him here on this occasion, the Minister of Science and Technology, Derek Hanekom. Derek has a very impressive but also very interesting history, having worked in various organizations and on farms both locally and abroad. He matriculated here in Cape Town from the Hoërskool Jan van Riebeeck, which is in the City Bowl, where he also lived. Following his mandatory national service, he spent time abroad, where he became politically active on his return to South Africa. He was arrested after a 1976 candlelight demonstration at John Foster Square, later serving a prison sentence from 1983 to 1986 for providing the ANC with information on the Apartheid Defence Force's attempts to overthrow the Mozambican government through the rebel movement Renamo. While waiting in 1987 for his wife Trish to be released from prison, Derek worked with the trade union movement in Johannesburg, and following their deportation to Zimbabwe, he served as a coordinator of the Popular History Trust in Harare from 1988 to 1990. Derek came back to South Africa after the unbanning of political organizations in 1990 to work in the headquarters of the ANC, where he was responsible for policy formulations on land and agriculture during the period of negotiations prior to the first democratic election of 1994. Since then, he has managed various very important portfolios, serving, for example, as the Minister of Agriculture and Land Affairs, a very memorable portfolio in my knowledge of that time, from 1994 to 2004. He currently also serves as the Deputy Chairperson of the Board of the Ahmed Kathrada Foundation. Derek.
Well, I guess now you know who I am. Program Director, Dr. Max Price, Vice Chancellor, the SRC President, Lorne Hullendorf, Deputy Vice Chancellors, academic staff, graduation, students, parents and sponsors, distinguished guests. Today is a defining moment in your lives, and I am truly honored and very pleased to have been asked to address you. It is always a little daunting to stand in front of so many people who represent the future of our country, and in fact, the world, together with those who have been their teachers and mentors. For me, as Minister of Science and Technology, such occasions are of particular significance because our department relies very heavily on skills such as yours to assist us with the development of our country. For many of you, this is probably your first graduation. For some, it is your second, third, or maybe even fourth. If you are graduating for the first time, you probably think nothing can be more significant than today's ceremony. By comparison, what can an honors master's or a PhD graduation bring that this one has not? But I'm sure those of you receiving your PhDs today will have a different opinion. One of the greatest icons of our time, Mahatma Gandhi, once said, "Live as if you were to die tomorrow. Learn as if you were to live forever." You are, or will very shortly, be graduates of one of the world's finest universities. You will be part of this institution's rich history and join the alumni who have benefited from the intellectual capital and educational infrastructure UCT has to offer. Some, of course, include some very noteworthy men and women. While your years here have given you opportunity, prestige, and privilege, we cannot pretend that these privileges come without any obligations. Universities are supported to a large measure by public funds, and your training at UCT may have been financed by your parents and their parents and by the sweat and toil of workers who had no hope of achieving such a milestone, but whose descendants some of you may well be. Your achievement is relevant to everyone who has made a contribution to South Africa's economy and the development of our country, no matter how. There are strong ethical and moral reasons for you to use your educational advantage to contribute to the development of our country as you move into the next phase of your life. Whether you go into the private or the public sector, whether you intend to remain in the university or strike out as an entrepreneur, you can make a meaningful contribution in any one of these areas. But it is important that in your pursuit of personal happiness and success, you reflect honestly on whether you are doing anything to make the world a better place for others. This also applies to those of you who come from countries other than South Africa. We cannot ignore that we live in a globalized world and that we share our resources and institutions of higher learning, especially in Africa. Graduates in the natural, engineering, and health sciences and the built environment fields are particularly well positioned to do something for the future economic, social, and sustainable development of South Africa. I'd like to outline to you how I see the environment in which you are likely to operate in South Africa in the near future. I hope this will help you orient yourself for this next phase of your life. My comments may have particular resonance for you if you are open to the possibility of pursuing postgraduate studies. The future of engineering and the built environment in particular is influenced by the demands of industry, government, and business. We have seen how the major construction and infrastructure development programs ahead of the 2010 World Cup helped protect our country from the devastating consequences of the 2009 global financial meltdown. We have repeatedly demonstrated that we can handle large infrastructure projects, from new sports stadiums to deep-level mines and prestige projects such as the Gautrain. We need to build on our experience and continue to be the world leaders in those areas in which we really excel. Government's investments in infrastructure development have the potential to really stimulate our economic growth. But skills shortages in the built environment professions in general and in the engineering field in particular could be a serious barrier to delivering the planned infrastructure. Last year, government adopted a national infrastructure plan, which is intended to transform our economic landscape and create a significant number of new jobs. The plan, with its 18 strategic integrated projects, will also support the integration of African economies. Over the next 3 years, government will invest 827 billion rand in building new infrastructure and upgrading existing infrastructure. This will significantly improve access to healthcare facilities, schools, water, sanitation, housing, and electricity, and it will foster economic growth and development through the construction of ports, roads, railway systems, electricity plants, hospitals, schools, and dams. One of these strategic integrated projects is the Square Kilometre Array radio telescope, the SKA, which I'm sure all of you have heard of, the bulk of which will be hosted by South Africa and 8 African partner countries. A range of engineering, technological, and scientific skills will be required both in the construction of the SKA infrastructure and in its operation. The detailed design and pre-construction phase of the SKA project starts this year. We have already demonstrated our excellent science and engineering skills by designing and starting to build the Meerkat telescope as a pathfinder towards the SKA. The construction of this 64-dish telescope will be completed by 2016. On its own, the Meerkat will be the largest radio telescope in the Southern Hemisphere, but when the SKA's 3,000 dishes have been completed, it will be by far the largest and most sensitive radio telescope in the world. The technology being developed for Meerkat is cutting edge, and the project is creating a large group of young scientists and engineers with world-class expertise in technologies that will have to be developed in the next 10 to 20 years, such as very fast computing, very fast data transport, large networks of sensors, software radios, and imaging algorithms. The Department of Science and Technology has invested about R1 billion in the past 5 years to beef up cyber infrastructure in the country for the high-speed transportation of data sets. A national center for high-performance computing has been established just down the road from UCT in Rosebank, and 139 research and educational sites in the country have been connected to a high-speed network through the South African National Research Network, better known as SANREN. This network has virtually eliminated the digital divide between urban and remotely located institutions. Through SANREN, rural universities are now just as able to participate in global experiments as urban universities. The investment in SANREN has reduced internet costs for participating institutions, now listen to this one, by a factor of more than 10. And we will shortly be spending a further 600 million rand to upgrade SANREN capacity even further. In addition to these cyber infrastructure investments, in the next 3 years, my department will also be investing about 1.6 billion rand in research infrastructure and equipment that is not related to the SKA. These investments are part of government's commitment to growing science and technology in South Africa and to playing a catalytic role in the scientific development of the continent. In fact, government spending on science and technology has increased faster in the past few years than overall government spending. Of course, all of this is tremendously exciting, but none of this would be possible without well-trained human resources. South Africa is desperately short of people with the sort of skills a modern economy requires to prosper in a globalized world, where information and communication technology is ever present, where the value of information is beginning to surpass the value of natural resources, where it can seem as if services are being provided by a company just down the road, when in fact it is on the other side of the world. The high-level skills our country needs for growth will come from you and other students like you. With almost a third of our entire budget of 6 billion rand spent on human capital development, my department is the biggest single source of public support for postgraduate studies and the development of the next generation of researchers. For instance, we currently spend about 400 million rand per annum on postgraduate bursaries, and we will be doubling this from 2015. The department has adopted and embraced the globally accepted notion of a PhD as a driver of innovation and global competitiveness, given the skill set that a PhD requires. We also know that higher qualifications lead to higher income levels, and local and international studies show that this correlation is more pronounced at master's and doctoral levels. We have established 2 premier programs to support established researchers in their efforts to produce more research and train more postgraduates. The South African Research Chairs Initiative provides 1.5 million to 2.5 million rand per annum each to 150 world-class professors, while the Centre of Excellence program will soon support 14 centers to the tune of about 15 million rand each per annum for a minimum of 5 years and an extension of up to another 10 years. These interventions have played a very important role in the increase of doctoral graduates from what was 1,200 graduates in just 5 years ago to 1,700 today, and contribute significantly to the expansion of our country's research output. UCT, where we are today, this beautiful place, where some of you are for the very first time in your lives, this extraordinarily significant, symbolically important, beautiful building, has played a pivotal role in these achievements. The data speak for themselves. In 2011, UCT hosted 252 postdoctoral research fellows, more than a third of all South African postdoctoral candidates hosted by our universities. I am not a great proponent of international university rating scales, partly because they frequently ignore the contribution that universities make to the development and transformation of the societies and environments in which they exist. But nevertheless, given the importance attached to these ratings, we cannot completely ignore them, and it is pleasing to see that UCT continues to be rated as one of the top 200 universities in the world, the only one in Africa consistently on this list. Although it should be said that a number of our universities are in the top 1%. Number of our universities are in the top 1% of universities worldwide. For UCT, though, this has been possible for various reasons. In 2011, UCT was home to 31 A-rated researchers, and UCT's early 2012 number of NRF-rated researchers was 380, constituting an impressive 15% of all NRF-rated researchers in South Africa. UCT has more than 1/5 of the 154 research chairs awarded under the Research Chairs Initiative. It is home to 2 centers of excellence, one on catalysis and the other on birds as keys to biodiversity. And UCT has ties to 2 others, the Applied Center for Climate Change and Earth System Science at the CSIR and the Center for Biomedical TB Research at the University of Stellenbosch. In addition, UCT's Department of Chemical Engineering houses the DST Catalysis Center of Competence, which is aimed at encouraging links between university-based research and development and the private sector. All of these have been the result of major investments by the Department of Science and Technology. Despite the immense contribution by UCT and our other universities to human capital development, South Africa still lags behind comparable countries in many human capital indices, such as the number of doctoral graduates per million of population or the number of engineers. Moreover, the demographics of our postgraduate student body are still skewed in an unsustainable way. We cannot build the long-term future research capacity of this country without ensuring that we are successful in growing the number of postgraduate students from the majority of our population, our black students, and we will not succeed in becoming a world leader in innovation, science, engineering, and technology unless we release the potential of all our people. For those of you who have not yet made firm plans to move into private sector jobs with your new degrees, I would strongly encourage you to consider pursuing a postgraduate research career. We need greater numbers of younger researchers to join the ranks of our more experienced but aging cohort of researchers. As I said, there is a strong correlation between doctoral degrees and income. I mention this even though I'm sure that future income potential is only one of several factors that will influence your choice about what to do next. I'm certain that the university, your lecturers, and your professors are able to provide guidance and advice on this option, as is the National Research Foundation, whose details you can find on the internet. Please consider the possibility carefully. Once again, Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Price, I have to say that I'm deeply honored to have been invited by the university to share this proud moment with you. We salute your families, many of whom are here, who have supported you, and the academic staff who mentored you through your degrees. Let me leave you with a comment from the journalist Tom Brokaw, who once laid down this challenge to some graduating students. You are educated. Your certification is your degree. You may think of it as the ticket to the good life. Let me ask you to think of an alternative. think of it as your ticket to change the world. Ish, man. We are so proud of you. We are so proud of you. But one day when I'm not a minister, I'd also like to put on this red gown and this black gown and then walk with you and climb every mountain with you until we all find our dreams. I thank you and wish you well in your future endeavors. Thank you.
We need in turn to thank the Minister for his very kind words about our institution and its achievements. Thank you. I think it's an indication of how proud we can be, should be, and are of UCT and the contributions that it is making today in South Africa and more broadly. Having said that, I think the Minister very importantly reminded us of our obligations and the contributions that we need to make to the development of South Africa now and in the future. He speaks with authority because he leads by example. And I think that makes his words today more meaningful than they might have been from somebody else. Thank you. And thank you also for drawing attention to the role that UCT does and can continue to play in that future, not only through the research that it conducts, but also through the partnerships that it has developed, on the one hand, with state institutions and your department, and on the other, with private enterprise. We are very proud of ourselves, and we are very glad that you are too.
Ladies and gentlemen, we move to the main graduation program now. By virtue of the authority conferred upon me, I admit to the degrees specified and grant the diplomas specified to the candidates recorded in the program as being in absentia. I shall now grant the diplomas and admit to the degrees specified the candidates who will be presented to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hereby invite health science graduates and members of the health science profession to join me in saying the health science declaration. You'll find it on page 12 of your program. I most solemnly pledge to serve humanity. My most important considerations will be the health of patients and the health of their communities. I will not permit considerations of age, gender, race, religion, ethnic origin, sexual orientation, disease, disability, or any other factor to adversely affect the care I give to my patients. I will uphold human rights and civil liberties to advance health, even under threat. I will engage patients and colleagues as partners in healthcare. I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity. I will respect the confidentiality of patients, present or past, living or deceased. I will value research and will be guided by its conduct by the highest ethical standards. I commit myself to lifelong learning, and I make these promises solemnly, freely, and upon my honor. Thank you. Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the postgraduate diploma in Healthcare Technology Management, Standile Charity Kuzwayo. Zianda Mbangata. Zianda Zigai. For the postgrad diploma in health management, Francois Pierre de Villiers. With distinction, Jacques Donovan Theo Hendricks. With distinction, Rengiwe Admara Hlela. Kelvin Arthur Johnson. Bridget Nicolette McClue. With distinction, Marianne Malherbe. With distinction, Wena Marais. Wena Marais. Pogisho Samuel Matthews. Kenilwe Cynthia Modise. Cheryl Nelson. Numkosi Lungile Pakati. For the postgrad diploma in nursing, Lorraine Susan Bosch. Madeline Ruby Kroos. Shamila January. Vuyelwa Kili. Zoleka Monica Machlanyana. For the postgrad diploma in palliative medicine, Mbongiwe Mambisa Sipamla.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the postgraduate diploma in engineering, in water quality engineering, Raymond Joseph Swartz. For the degree of Bachelor of Architectural Studies, Katerina Nina Malan. Mugele Nto. Jean Sebastian Rolando. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Construction Studies, Deepshika Begnu. Michael Alfred Bowden. Tarifa Mahet. Afzal Razak. Bradley Kenneth van der Westhuizen. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering, in Chemical Engineering, Kenioe Letsela. Lebugang Maisha Maslare. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Civil Engineering, Chinju Pius. With honors, Richard Drummond Stewart. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Electrical Engineering, Ntukose Sonke Dlamini. Tabang Mabeta. Rofiwa Ndo. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Electrical and Computer Engineering, Jason Andrew Esala. in electromechanical engineering Lechlogonolu Mahototane Bohole. Matete Kevin Takaso. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Engineering in Mechanical Engineering, Carrie Ann Airy. Nkululeku Humphrey Sele. Stephen Edward Dickinson. Amiruddin Lani. Nabil Yassin Muhammad. Titus Nampala. Anga Ngalo. Portugal Simon Tama. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Property Studies, Mark Mitchell Duckett.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you, for the degree of Bachelor of Science, Shabira Abdullah. Denford Nyasha Banga. Craig Xavier Basson. Rachel Begbie. Jason John Bissick. Talia Davidoff. Tessa Doe de Kock. Lua Bahihi Dibble. Ifencio Eduardo Diogo. Rachma Hendricks. Michelle Ann House. Zintli Sharon Kolo. Tabo Elias Makwale. Pashwana Mokebi Malachi. Eliab Dikotso Malefashlo. Dr. Alex Mapane. Rimbalana Ribbon Masinge. Buchuli Imbobo. Luyanda Mshlauli. James Barlow Mills. Tulisa Nkatazo. Evelyn Tetelo Muabela. Rylan James Morrison. Zimasa Impenyama. Sibongeseni Mrwashu. Cameron Philip Nagel. Nkolese Ndlovu. Nonkosazana Patricia Nkosi. Sinelizwe Nkwale. Nuria Nurdin. Polele Gladys Mchangaze. Manuel Macangelo Ngombo Sebastio. With distinction in mathematics and a degree with distinction, Jonathan Dominique van Bell. Shan Weber. Nosipo Ntombani Zwane. In biology, earth and environmental sciences, Jared Robert Ernest Davies. In chemical, molecular and cellular sciences, Stephen James Human. Andile Aubrey Kari. Mzameni Shangaze. In information technology, Nyameko Mateke. Kabelo Rametse. Hamisi Rachelele Ravengani. Tiani Cecilia Ricozzo. Merciful Sundlana. In mathematical, physical, and statistical sciences, Serena Bukridan. Menaka Sophia Jobo. Ati Rueku.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Audiology, Nonkululeko Mtolo. For the degree of the Bachelor of Science in Physiotherapy, Nashito Girdin. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Medicine Honours in Infectious Diseases and Immunology, Ata Tabo Mokwenya. In Medical Biochemistry, Moketli Zakaria Morake. In Physiology, First Class, Jacob Robin Hoffman.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you, for the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours in Mathematics, Brett Leroux. Faika Solomon. First Class, Michael Blythe Toms. Evelyn Mary van Schoor.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you, for the degree of Bachelor of Science Honours in Property Studies, Moipone Gertrude Pakasi. For the degree of Masters of City and Regional Planning, Elias Jacobus Mati. Aisha Modak. For the degree of Masters of Engineering in Engineering Management, Asotiwa Nzensana. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Radar and Electronic Defense, Saad Ibrahim Aluwaimal. For the degree of Master of Engineering in Transport Studies, Zivuyile Bebelele. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Conservation of the Built Environment, Nicola Susan Dog. Brandon Robert Hart. Jasmine Mayat. Jacobus Philippus van Wyk. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Engineering Education, René Turin. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Urban Infrastructure, Design and Management, Jacqueline Maria James. Rumbidzayi Dorothy Machiritsa. Esther Molti. Theodore Mark Screeder. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering, in Chemical Engineering, Harmut Dietmar Ottfried Brotner. Gutsai Jangunda. Adrian Charles Fortuyn. Michael Kapemwa. Tendo Madala. Kyle Moskowitz. Caroline Musawazi. Moses Kumbarai Nduna. Tawanda Stephen Sango. Karthik Shekhar. Rukaya Khalib Stracy. Eustace Fries. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Civil Engineering, Garth Edward Gardeman. Nicholas Magera Kazito. Mbongeni Hopewell Sabela Nzuza. Simon John Stark. Davina Carol Zitzman. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Electrical Engineering, John Inialua Fadiran. Abdul Aziz Fish. Lance Linden Grootboom. Josiah Chimnanu Jidihani. Bruce Edward Johnson. Alan Quilly. Christina Matankiso Murane. Vuzumuzi Moyo. Stephen Mugisa. Sheena Farm Malumba. Philip Uvizeye Nukubito. Shanli Rajan. Grant Richard Stowe. David Andrew Wright. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Energy Studies, Jonathan Paul Dingle. Olumide Oluwasian Ugun Modimo. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Geomatics, Patricia Duncan. Cleotilda Zmalu. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Materials Engineering, Kanhisa Prudence Mabunda. Velile Nicoline Villane. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Mechanical Engineering, Suraya Alice. Bradley Dennis Bock. James Angus Boonsire. Matthew James Davidson. Travis Foster Henshey. Thomas Edward Knight. Wei Chi Lee. David Kababa Lewabona. Justin Charles Speed. Michael Florian Rieger. Brent John Saunders. Cameron Wayne Sharp. Bradley Mark Springer. For the degree of Master of Science in Engineering in Sustainable Energy Engineering, Bryce James McCall. For the degree of Master of Science in Project Management, Warren James Calderwood. Siad Isaacs. Jechilwasi Prince Kwamata. Zeningi Patience Zwane. For the degree of Master of Science in Property Studies, Benjamin Lawrence Day. Mpo Ine Mokabiri.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the degree in Master of Medicine in Anesthesia, Alexandra Dresner. In Clinical Pharmacology, with a distinction in the dissertation, Karen Cohen. In neurosurgery, with a distinction in the dissertation, Peter Kato Senyonga. In nuclear medicine, Rachel Elizabeth Stein. In psychiatry, Neil John York. Maren Elizabeth Young. In public health medicine, Gina Leanne Bernard. In radiation oncology, Kelly Rizal Alain Mike. In radiology, with a distinction in the dissertation, Arthur Dare. Paul Victor John Skoltz. For the degree of the Master of Philosophy in Biokinetics, with a distinction in the dissertation, Ziad Ahmad Parker. In disability studies, Shanaz Majid. In maternal and child health, Eled Menyekonde. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Palliative Medicine, Linda Leonora Gankra. Florentina Ureche. In Public Mental Health, Tracy McClinton Apolis. In Sports Physiotherapy with distinction in dissertation, Christopher Allen. For the degree of Master of Philosophy in Emergency Medicine in Clinical Emergency Care, Ian Lucas Howard. Willem Stassen. For the degree of Master of Public Health, Jolene Merrill Chetty. Valdila Daris. With distinction, Kristen Ann Daskilowitz. With distinction in the dissertation, Tracy Lynn Colby Alexander. Haloatle Motoache. Shara Sata. In epidemiology, Hlengani Tozama Matema. Christine Wanjiku Njuguna. Kimberly Lauren Ricau. Pumelele Regina Trasada. In health economics, Funeko Bango. With distinction, Jane Peary. For the degree of Master of Science in Audiology, Nicola Lee Keaton. For the degree of Master of Science in Medicine, in Anatomy, Petra Maas. Kerry-Ann van den Berg. In biomedical engineering with distinction, Mene Sherry Zantau. In exercise science with distinction, Viraj Goyaram. Regular Delphine Oliver. In medical biochemistry with distinction, Boris Virgin Krivotchev. In medical microbiology, Vedanta Singh. In medicine with distinction, Shepherd Nyamoye Bonde. In pharmacology, Veronica Asibi Amlabu. Katya Govinda. For the degree of Master of Science in Nursing, Karen Rose Giver. For the degree of Master of Science in Occupational Therapy, Judith May Dirks. Inga Ute Steinhoff. For the degree of Master of Science in Physiotherapy, Ruth Elizabeth Siebritz.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you, for the degree of Master of Philosophy in Archaeology, Nicholas Alexander Zakharov. In Climate Change and Development, Leslie Ann Ashburner. With distinction, Misha Minay. Kirsten Lee Nokia. Kirsty Margaret Robinson. Cabral Rosa Wicht. In Environmental and Geographical Science, Michael Chad Fitt. In Environmental Management, Samantha Louise Jenner. For the degree of Master of Science in Applied Marine Science, Oceanography, Closer Francisco Sarmiento Chavain. Aluwani Elijah Ramulifo. In Applied Marine Science, Zoology, Jessica Louise LaRue. Kirsty Alexandra McQuaid. Nuruddin Norman Sempa. Ralph Gareth Andrew Watson. In Applied Mathematics, with distinction, Ivajlo Georgiev Donev. In Archaeology, Karen Ashley Warren. In Astrophysics and Space Science, Eli Kunwiji Kasai. Toki Heri Mandimbi Randria Mampandri. In Botany, Michelle Claire Malan. Rebelani Munyai. Robin Faye Powell. In chemistry, Heinrich Richard Baer. Lutete Pegai Konde. Mandla Mabunda. With distinction, Shankari Nair. Richard Michael Payne. With distinction, Shakila Syed. In Climate Change and Development, Stephen Alaba Orowolo. Chinedu Innocent Oanyere. In computer science, with distinction, Stefan Assinger. Martha Ndeapio Magano Kamkuma. With distinction, Waletsabisa Mlapo. Lebeko Bernard Nokobele Pulo. In conservation biology, with distinction, Catherine Jane Forsyth. With distinction, Jessica Diane Greenston. Craig Thomas Harding. Vera Kasman Liebau. Christine Frances Madden. Heinz Ottmann. Louise Moira Palfreman. Kubra Peters. Carolyn Anna Victoria Sanguinetti. In environmental and geographical science, with distinction, Vanessa Monique Lacke. David Bernard Ogier. In geology, Desmond Crumick. In mathematical statistics, Darren Williams. In molecular and cell biology, Simon Gareth Broadley. Paul Kennedy. In ocean and atmosphere science, Nomkwezani Sani Kobo. In ocean and climate dynamics, Kirsten Annette Duplessis. Amy Harding Goodman. Neil Christopher Malan. Amy Weber. In operational research, Cecile Margaret Verzeidenoot. With distinction, John Matthew Calder. In physical oceanography, Madoda Brian Kumalo. In physics, Marius Maximilian Romnick. In zoology, Alistair Wayne Fife. Esther Anna Mostert. In Wamaka, Mary Immaculata Ukomadu.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemical Engineering for a thesis which focuses on developing a probability-based approach to determining the power draw and energy dissipation of a tumbling mill. Lawrence Barbosa. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemical Engineering, for a thesis which focuses on the numerical modeling of hydrodynamics, gas dispersion, and mass transfer in an autoclave, Harish Appar. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemical Engineering, for a thesis which focuses on the development of a model of hydrodynamic evolution in multiphase flow by a fundamental study of the microflow structure in the vicinity of a bubble in a liquid, Waldo Kutsia. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Chemical Engineering, for a thesis which focuses on modeling the circulation rate of tumbling mill charts from an in situ perspective, using data derived from positron emission particle tracking experiments, Darami van der von Kallen. for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, for a thesis which uses a systems approach in the development of a composite index to enable an understanding of and measure the potential for sustainable urban water management in South Africa, Kirsty Jane Carden. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Civil Engineering, for a thesis which investigates the potential to increase the resource pool for financing infrastructure improvements in informal settlements by developing and applying a stated preference choice model to quantify the value of non-user benefits of improving water and sanitation in the cities of Kampala and Cape Town. Dorothy Coble. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, for a thesis which focuses on assessing the age assessment and condition monitoring of power transformers by means of cellulose and oil insulation deterioration as a result of low energy degradation mechanisms, Nadajaran Moodley. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Electrical Engineering, for a thesis which provides a computational framework for cochlear modeling, allowing competing theories of hearing to be objectively compared and contrasted, Michael James Rapson. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Energy Studies, for a thesis which focuses on the impact of the traditional wood fuel industry on forest depletion in Rwanda and proposes a solution for sustainable wood fuel management, Ernest Masimpaka.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Medicine in Medicine for a thesis that addresses the improvement of implantable cardioverter defibrillator devices in pigs and people. Kevin Anthony Michael. For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Biomedical Engineering, for a thesis which focuses on developing novel methods for ventricular segmentation and myocardial strain analysis of data acquired using three-dimensional displacement encoding with stimulated echocardiac magnetic resonance imaging. Daniel Alessandro Orga. In biomedical engineering, for a thesis which designs and evaluates a novel meniscal prosthesis of the knee based on composite materials of polycarbonate urethane and polyethylene fibers, Adijat Omowumi Inyang. in cell biology for a thesis which shows that the levels of the transcription factor TBX3 is unregulated in advanced melanoma by the AKT signaling pathway, and that this leads to TBX inappropriately activating the IDI gene, which is key to melanoma formation and invasion. Jade Pereira de Andrade Perez. In clinical science and immunology, for a thesis which investigates the role of interleukin-4R signaling on dendritic cells in a mouse model of cutaneous leishmaniasis, Ramona Herdeyal. In clinical science and immunology, for a thesis which examines the role of interleukin-4 receptor alpha, the receptor for the cytokine interleukin-4, and a molecule known to play a key role in understanding the development of allergic asthma. Jaisubhash Jaka Kumar. In exercise science, for a thesis which investigates genetic susceptibility to Achilles tendinopathy with a particular focus on the sequence variants in genes encoding proteins of the extracellular matrix. Colleen Jane Saunders. In medical biochemistry, for a thesis which investigates new approaches to identifying genetic loci that confer increased susceptibility to esophageal cancer in South Africans. Marko Maticic. In medical microbiology, for a thesis which focuses on differences between strains of Mycobacterium tuberculosis in their ability to stimulate the innate immune response. Rajesh Sakar. In medicine, for a thesis on the determinants and prevalence of rheumatic heart disease in Cape Town, which emphasizes the need for primordial prevention of the disease through addressing socio-economic needs of the communities, and the importance of primary prevention in community clinics. Mark Emmanuel Engel. In medicine, for a thesis which shows that cardiovascular disease risk factors have increased since 1990 in black South Africans living in Cape Town, and that the health care that they have received requires urgent attention. Nashita Pierre. In medicine, for a thesis which focuses on characterizing incident HIV-associated sensory neuropathy and associated risk factors in a community-based population about to initiate antiretroviral therapy. Johan Jacobus van der Watt. In pediatrics, for a thesis which explores methodologies for active TB case finding and TB case detection to inform the selection of case finding strategies for clinical trials of TB vaccines, conducted in young children in high TB burden settings in the 21st century. Sizulu Moya. In pharmacology, for a thesis which describes the pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics of drugs used for the treatment of tuberculosis in South African patients, Emmanuel Chigutsa. In physiology, for a thesis which provides novel insights into ambulatory physical activity, physical fitness, and health in employed South African populations, Julian David Pillay. In psychiatry, for a thesis which focuses on screening for depression, a common form of mental illness, in HIV-positive patients who attend primary health care facilities. Dickens Howard Akena. In psychiatry, for a thesis which focuses on understanding the... In psychiatry, for a thesis which focuses on understanding the nature of contemporary adolescent intimate relationships in order to inform public health interventions to prevent intimate partner violence and to promote sexual and reproductive health and equitable, enjoyable relationships. Anik Givers. In psychiatry, for a thesis which documents the characteristics and contributing factors in pain in HIV/AIDS and reports on the success of a novel 6-week peer-led exercise and education intervention to manage pain in Amaxhosa women living with HIV/AIDS. Romy Elizabeth Parker. In public health, for a thesis which tests and demonstrates the effectiveness of an evidence-based workplace intervention to reduce risk from alcohol consumption and from alcohol-related sexual risk behaviors. Nadine Catherine Burnhams. In public health, for a thesis which characterizes the occurrence of tuberculosis in adolescents in preparation for clinical trials of new tuberculosis vaccines and to contribute to the control of tuberculosis spread amongst adolescents. Hassan Muhammad. In surgery, for a thesis which carries out an efficacy analysis of C-domain-specific angiotensin-converting enzyme inhibitor, which is required for bringing this novel class of compounds closer to the clinic. Sarah Kate Sharp.
Vice-Chancellor, I have the honor to present to you for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy in Applied Mathematics for a thesis which focuses on the cosmological dynamics of modified gravity with the aim of providing a natural explanation for the late-time acceleration of the universe without the need for a cosmological constant or dynamical dark energy. Mohammed El-Sazli Seralakahim Abdul Wahab. In applied mathematics, for a thesis which uses direct scattering theory to uncover the role played by localized waves, called solitons, in the formation of spatio-temporal chaos in the parametrically driven nonlinear Schrödinger equation, Karel Petrus Olafir. In astronomy, for a thesis which focuses on characterizing long-term variations in optical and X-ray emission from the most luminous X-ray sources in the Magellanic Clouds, our nearest neighboring galaxies, Andrei Fitiovana Rajoli-Manana. In botany, for a thesis that examines how a mobile pastoral livestock production system in a variable environment has changed over 350 years, and how herd mobility has adapted to spatial constraints and resource availability, Mohammed Iksan Samuels. In chemistry, for a thesis which examines the preparation and characterization of new polynuclear platinum, ruthenium, rhodium, and iridium organometallic complexes and investigates their in vitro activities against different parasite strains and tumor cell lines, Princessa Chellan. In chemistry, for a thesis which focuses on understanding the mechanism of action and tricidine antimicrobial peptides and can contribute to the development of new and specific antibiotics, Gadzikano Munyuki. In chemistry, for a thesis which focuses on the application of pharmaceutical industry methods for assessing and predicting what the human body is likely to do to a medicine, and how new medicines are discovered, developed, and optimally used in the clinic, Rosalind Stella Telangwane. In computer science, for a thesis which develops a framework for teaching and learning that is mediated by mobile devices, empowering students who struggle to understand face-to-face sessions, Olitayo Kehindi Boyanbodi. In computer science, for a thesis which focuses on designing cellular telephone technology with township communities, specifically for those seeking jobs, Sylvian Wanjiku Gitar. In environmental and geographical science, for a thesis which addresses the sources and dynamics of atmospheric moisture which contribute to the variability of regional rainfall over southern Africa, Christopher David Jack. in environmental and geographical science for a thesis which focuses on the effects on southern African temperature and precipitation of the tiny solid and liquid particles generated during man-made vegetation fires. Janito Amos Maura. In environmental and geographical science for a thesis which uses pollen analysis to explore the history of fynbos and forest vegetation in the Southern Cape over the last 120,000 years, and which reveals important insights into changing environments during that period. Lynn Julia Quick. In molecular and cell biology, for a thesis which focuses on characterizing the structure of the South African colored population and identifying genetic and ethnic factors associated with susceptibility to tuberculosis. Emil Rugomika Chimusa. In molecular and cell biology, for a thesis which focuses on isolating the industrially useful nitrile converting enzymes, nitrulase and nitrile hydratase, from a biotechnologically relevant bacterium, Rhodococcus rhodocraus. Joni Frederick. In physical oceanography, for a thesis which focuses on modeling the ocean variability in the form of cyclonic and anticyclonic eddies in the Mozambique Channel using the SWIM ocean model. Isufo Farao Mario Halo. In physics, for a thesis which focuses on the study of the fundamental mechanisms of electrical conduction in printed silicon nanoparticle networks with applications for sensors and electronic devices. Batsirai Magunje. In physics, for a thesis in nuclear physics which characterizes the structure of octupole vibrational excitations of various atomic nuclei in the rare earth region, Maciej Andrzej Stankovic. In physics, for a thesis which deals with the behavior of matter at extreme temperatures and densities as prevalent in the universe shortly after the Big Bang, some 13.5 billion years ago, Yingwing Zhang. In zoology, for a thesis which revises the sea anemone fauna of South Africa, discovering 2 species new to science and several others new to the region, details the distribution patterns of each species and provides an illustrated identification guide to all known species. Megan Claire Laird. In zoology, for a thesis which focuses on the impacts and management of power line collision mortality on Ludwigsbustard and other large birds of the Karoo, Jessica Mary Shaw.
Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, new doctors, it's a long afternoon. This is a longer than usual graduation ceremony, but that's the price of success. These 50 or so doctoral graduates are probably amongst the largest cohort that we've had in one graduation, or must be close to the largest we've had. And that is our goal, to grow the postgraduate studies and to see and to feed the economy, the science, not just of South Africa, but of the continent and of the world. And you would have heard, crossing the stage, the names of people from countries all over the continent. We're enormously proud that we are the destination of choice for so many of them, and they will go back and stimulate and support academia, science, technology, discovery, the economy across the continent, and we're part of that. Thank you all and congratulations for your huge achievements, the first degrees, the postgraduate diplomas, the masters, and the doctorates. Give yourselves another round of applause. You've acquired a whole lot of skills and a whole lot of knowledge, but you will not be judged, and we will have failed if that's all you've acquired. And you will not be judged on that alone. You go out as ambassadors of the university. You carry our reputation with you wherever you go. And more than anything else, you will be judged on whether you have imbibed the ethos of this university through its values. More important than just the knowledge is integrity, honesty as scientists, a commitment to improving the world, concerns with the wrongs and with injustice and inequality, and a commitment to doing something about that, taking responsibility given this privilege that you've had, given that you recognize yourselves as part of a very small elite group that has had the opportunity to study at a university like the University of Cape Town. And at this level, you have a responsibility to help change the world, to make an impact. And we know that many thousands before you have done just that, and we are confident that you will do the same. As you become graduates, some of you for the first time of this university, you become members of the convocation of UCT, which is the body of graduates and diplomats, and you have a role to play in the continuity from the past through the present to the future. You have a role to play in ensuring that the standards of this university, of which you're proud, are maintained. And you can do that in part through electing the Chancellor of the university. Mrs. Graça-Machel is our current Chancellor. You do that through electing members to the University Council, the governing body of the university, through giving us feedback at regular intervals when you think something's not right with the university and you want us to know, or when you want to have more information about what we're doing and why. And for that to happen, we beg you to keep in touch with us, to keep us informed as you go out into the world of your changing addresses and emails, so that we can send you our quarterly newsletters, we can keep you up to date. You're part of a family, and we hope you will always be proud to be UCT graduates, and we will have events, reunions, functions all over the world to include you and to ensure that you remain part of this family. I'm sure you recognize that you have got to where you are today through your own work, but in large measure through the support of your loved ones, of your parents, of your spouses, of your partners, through financial support, emotional and psychological support over many years. And so I invite you now to show your appreciation to them by taking your scrolls, stand up and make eye contact with your members of your family in the audience, and wave that scroll and shout them your appreciation. I invite you to stand up and make eye contact. And I'm sure you know that you also owe a debt of gratitude to your faculty, to your supervisors and lecturers who are represented here on the stage, and I invite you to show your appreciation to them too. And I add mine, members of faculty, professors, lecturers, members of the support and professional staff, the technical staff who make the laboratories work so smoothly, the administrative staff. You've all contributed hugely to the success of these graduates and the success of this university, and I thank you all for that achievement. So finally, we've had a long ceremony, and it's time to go out and celebrate. You have a lot to celebrate for.